it's just great to have all of you here this morning. Certainly, this is an opportunity for us to do things as all of us have, a lot differently than what we've been doing when we would have met kind of in person a year ago. And but first of all, let me just introduce myself. I'm Dana Mackison. I know as I look through all the faces on the screen, lots and lots and lots of people who have been here for many years, but also some new people, and that's a lot of what our meeting is about today is to help this new group of chairpersons really do a better job and really get them up to speed on what we need them to do as we start thinking about RYLA 2021. But Dana Maxson, as far as the chair of the program, and we're going to talk a little bit about us just celebrating our 30th year. But I've been fortunate to have been here and been with the program when we started, and certainly now we're going to be talking about from 1991 to currently will be our 30th year of celebrating RYLA. Today's going to be a lot different, of course, as we try to do this Zoom call, and also as we talk about what does camp look like as we move forward. We also want to spend some time just kind of helping to bring you up to speed and really share some of our celebrations and accomplishments that we've done over the year. But it's a lot different. Normally we'd have an opportunity to meet in person, shake hands, give out a few hugs, really see each other face to face. Certainly, hopefully all of you have got a cup of coffee, but we've always made sure we shared coffee, and I've got my RYLA cup, and I'm toasting you and sharing a cup of coffee with you this morning also as we get ready to kick off this meeting. Let me just talk just quickly about how we want to manage the meeting. We're going to try to make it fairly quick this morning and get us in and out of here pretty quick, but we've kind of got everyone on mute right now. And what we'd like for you to do is, if you can, just so it's not disruptive, if you have got some questions that you want to ask us, and particularly during some of our presentations, or maybe some questions come up, is just try to put something in the chat. And then we're going to definitely be watching those questions and bring those up. The other thing, just so I don't forget, as far as managing the meeting, when we finally finish this meeting today, I'll make an announcement that if you're a first or second year chairperson in your club, certainly we want to ask you to maybe stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes. If you've got any particular questions that we can, just have a conversation about that might help you with the job that we're starting to ask you to do, is make sure that you can stick around with us just a few minutes after we kind of finish our official meeting. Also in the attendance, we do have someone checking and looking at the attendance. So I think most of you have your names up there. If you look up on the screen and your name, if you just got a first name or you've got a phone number, if you can put that information in the chat with your name and which club that you represent. All of you I really appreciate it. All of you did an excellent job of RSVPing and telling us you were going to be there and be here today, and we appreciate that. So let me just do a couple real quick introductions. I introduced myself, of course, as the chair of the program, and also when we get to camp, I've actually been in a position of being the camp director for a number of years. And at this point, I do mostly administration. I don't do a lot of directing. I just kind of keep herding all of our staff and all of our great alumni and Rotarian staff. I just kind of help to keep us kind of down the right path, I guess. I would like to recognize our governor-elect, which is Max Duplant, I think, who's someplace here in one of our screens today. There she is waving, to me at least. And Josie, maybe just bring up the our grid view there, or if you're in your gallery view, you can see everyone. I was on a speaker view there. Yeah, so we have Max, who will be representing the district, of course, as our new incoming district governor during the time that we will officially do camp. So Max is with us today. Not going to ask her to have to say anything today, but I did want her to be, be a part of our event today. Also, a lot of these faces throughout the group here are our coordinators. And how this works is all of you that are here from clubs are actually identified as the chairperson. And you probably already know that, but you're the chairperson from your various clubs. And then from our own committee, we have coordinators that are actually have a list of 6 or 7 clubs that they actually interact with you. So that is really your go-between between our program. Certainly you can always come back to myself and Jim specific questions, but the coordinator is important for your club. And if they've got a moment to come out and visit with your club, ask them to do it. If you need their help on any ideas related to student recruitment, they've all been with this program for many, many years and share a lot of great information. So that's the coordinators that are here. Some of them are our RYLA alumni and some of them are Rotarians in the district. There's a number of other staff and such in the audience today. I'm not going to introduce all of them. It's probably impossible for me to do because I'm going to miss somebody. But I would like for, because certainly we've had a number of our alumni that have become involved, both as Rotarians and in certainly providing leadership in this program. So if you're an alumni, at least wave your hand a second for the group. And you're going to be hearing from some of them, but we've got a few of them here and there throughout the program. So, one alumni, you're going to hear from a couple of our alumni here in a moment, but I don't think, Mish, are you able to come up on the camera a second?
Hey guys, I'm here, but no, this computer does not have a camera.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Sorry.
So you do see her picture though. Mish McNeely has certainly been. I just want to give a special shout out to her. She's on our camp staff, but more importantly, as we're going to talk in just a moment about our RYLA program, Mish has a production company that produces a lot of trade shows and a lot of corporate events, and was able to really step up and provide a new platform through her company called Hoppin that we've been using to really do a great job with our RYLA program. So, and there's so many of our alumni that I could give shout outs to, but I did want to just personally, because she has put a lot of effort into making that happen since August, September for us. And I truly appreciate that. At the same time, Mish also takes on the responsibility of recruiting and coordinating all of our camper or cabin staff, what we call counselors that are our cabin staff, which is also a big job. Does a full year of training with them before we get to the program. So just kind of a personal shout out to her and a couple other people I'll introduce here when it's their time to be on the program. So last thing I want to say just real quickly here is today our meeting is kind of twofold. It's really to help educate you as the chairpersons to what your job and your role is as we move into 2021. And that is to certainly help recruit students, and we're going to help you with that. The second part of our program today is really at the end. I want to spend just a few minutes just talking about our accomplishments and really trying to share kind of like a report to the district of all the things that we've accomplished and implemented. Even in this kind of challenging year with COVID, we still have had some great accomplishments, and we want to share those with you today and just really share what we're so thankful for and appreciative in our district with what our RYLA alum have been able to do throughout the program and ongoing. So we're going to spend some time on that today, just a few minutes at the end, and certainly talk mostly today about what we need you to do as chairpersons over this next really 7 months. Last thing I want to say related to kind of an introduction here is just how much that, in case I forget here at the end, it's just how much we appreciate, number one, you as chairpersons, but secondly, how much we appreciate your clubs in providing support. both financial support and your committee's support. I know we've got a few club presidents on the phone. We certainly appreciate all of your efforts in raising dollars and helping us to make this program work and be successful over these last 30 years. So couldn't do it without you. All of our staff, all of the students that ever go to camp know that, and we make sure that they are well aware that it's the Rotary clubs and all your hard work through fundraising. I know some of that's had a few more challenges this year, but we appreciate all of those efforts of both that commitment of time and money. Okay, so what I'd like to do, I'm going to put some slides up now, and we're going to actually work from some sets of slides that I think will help us guide through. If you also look over in the chat, there should be a link. If you were not able to print off the guidebook that we're going to actually use as a reference today, something we call the club coordinator's guidebook, we're going to be working with that today. And I want to just quickly talk about, this is a photograph from Camp 2019. Obviously, we didn't do a 2020 camp photo, but we're going to quickly tell you about what we have been doing. But this was almost 260 to 70 students, staff. We go to camp most years. This is, again, maybe information more for the new people than not, but we go to camp each year with somewhere between 180, 190 students and about 70 to 75 staff members that made up of everything from alumni who have been in the program since the very beginning, 1991, all the way through many of our Rotarians that also support and help with the staff. So this would have been Camp 1991. And as I've already mentioned, we are this year, another thing that we haven't even spent a lot of time thinking about yet is how we're going to celebrate our 30th year. 30 years of putting this program together. We started in 1991 with only 47 students, 47 boys actually. Second year it was a co-ed program, and now we average between 180 and 190 students, as we said. So we are going to be celebrating our 30th year. Over that time, and I talk about Rotary support, we've supported and sponsored right at 6,000 students. So that's an accomplishment. Very few RYLA programs have those kinds of numbers to talk about over the 30 years. But you've been very responsible, very helpful in helping us put together this program for that many students, and really going back and making a difference with all the things that we send them away with. And then certainly I think and I'm very appreciative and all the support that we get from alumni. We've really built the program on the fact that our alumni contribute a lot to this program. And go ahead and move that next slide there, Andrew. And that's what I want to do is just quickly show you. These are the programs, and we're going to talk about these a little bit more toward the end. But these are just all the things that we've been very fortunate to put together. And we're going to share a little bit about all these as we go. But our alumni logo up there on the top, but the most important, go to the next slide, as you see right there in the middle, we have a brand new website. I wanted to make you all aware of our new website because it is a great resource, both for the clubs and for the students that you're recruiting, and parents, everyone you want to share about the program. So this is what it looks like, I would encourage you, don't do it right now because I want you to concentrate on this, but if you haven't looked at the new website, go look at it because we've put a lot of effort into that. A lot of people have contributed, and it's becoming a real useful site for us. Particularly, I wanted to point out that if you look at the drop downs up at the top, where the students is, we've got a section for prospective students, and then certainly our current students where we're still supporting our RYLA Lead program. And then over at the Rotary clubs, we've got all the materials posted, and I believe that they're all up there they're already up there today. If there's anything missing, we'll be making sure that that's put up on Monday with our webmaster. But that's a great resource there for the Rotary clubs with all these materials. Got an important spot there with our foundation and opportunities for even people to make donations and things. So And then a school segment also that is for counselors to be able to access materials and promotional things that they might use at school. So anyway, just a great resource. It's new, and make sure you take advantage of it. It's RYLA5810.org. You can see up at the top there, same as we've always had, but definitely an updated website. So that brings us to 2020. Obviously, we had to make a change. We had to change courses. Some people would use the word we had to pivot. I'm not sure if we just pivoted or we made a few 360-degree turns, because RYLA has been very, very successful. Certainly, when we talked about we obviously all knew in March that we were going to have to cancel our program, and by May we made that. We didn't know in March. We knew by May we were going to have to cancel our program, and certainly we made that announcement. All of you were very gracious in helping us to try to get the word out, express that disappointment to the students that we wouldn't be able to go to camp, except that our alumni stepped up, and we thought, well, maybe we just need to take a year off. But the alumni was very much about stepping up, saying, we don't want these students to miss out. They're already having a lot of disappointments as seniors in high school, or going to be seniors in high school, and we do not want them to miss out. So a group was put together, and we decided to create a program called RYLA, which became our virtual camp program and has been very successful and still going on, as we're going to hear about in just a moment. So RYLA stands for Rotary Youth Leadership, Education, and Development, something that we've certainly coined that term, and that is not a Rotary International program. That is certainly just our program here in this district, with the intent that we were going to create a program that was both educational, engaging, entertaining, and certainly, as we say about all of our RYLA programs, we were going to have a heck of a lot of fun. We started it with a premiere and kind of kicked it off, and then asked the students to be involved. So the person that was most, and certainly I would say my thought about this was I was hesitant. I was going, boy, this just sounds like a lot of work. I don't know how we're going to do this. But our alumni were the ones that really stepped up to the plate and were very insistent on that they needed to make this happen. The person who took the real lead on this was Sly Majid. And Sly is one of our alumni, and I'm going to let him in just a moment tell his RYLA story, number one, but then secondly, just fill us in on what this RYLA program has looked like and is looking like as we finish out the year. So I think we're going to take this slide down, and slide's going to come up on the screen, and I'm going to turn it over to him just to talk about RYLA. And again, I want to say, now that we see him, a great shout out to him. Really, this has been his program. I've filled in, but he's really taken the lead to put this together for the entire year. So Sly, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Dana. Good morning, everybody. Just to give you a little bit of context about my RYLA story. So I was a camper in 1999. I came back as an assistant counselor, and I've been a counselor now in the program for, I think, going on 7 or 8 years. And it's been one of the most impactful, most important aspects of my life, getting to participate in this program. Some of my closest friends are a part of this program who I've met over the years. And every time I get to engage with a new group of students and see the difference that RYLA makes, it renews my faith that the future is going to be bright and strong with these young leaders. The investment that Rotary makes and District 5810 makes in this program is significant, and I want to thank you for that. We really needed the support of Rotary more than ever this year. Obviously, with the canceling of camp, we weren't sure what we were going to do, but we knew and we were committed to the idea that these students deserved to have some component of the RYLA experience brought to them. And since we couldn't be together and we were all getting very, very comfortable with the idea of virtual meetings and Zooms and a variety of kind of socially distanced activities, we thought that there was a chance that we could translate the program from the physical camp environment to a virtual environment. We knew it wasn't going to be exactly the same. We knew that some things wouldn't translate, but we knew that there was an opportunity to take the content, take the leadership development pieces, and with the talent of the RYLA alumni and the support of Rotary, create something that was dynamic and truly innovative. So we created RYLA. This was a moment in which we recognized that both with the technological capabilities of our team and the abilities of our students, that a virtual camp leadership program could exist. So now we have hosted 4 modules and a pilot. So we've done 5 standalone programs, basically pretty much every month except December since August. We have our 5th program slated for early February, and then we're going to do a wrap program at the end of the month on February 28th. The work of the planning committee and the support of Dana have helped us create a really dynamic program. What we wanted to do from the onset is take the core values of RYLA and the leadership lessons and put them in the mold and frame of RYLA's values, which were education, engagement, and entertainment. One, we wanted to make sure that we gave the students tangible skills that they could use in their life as leaders in their schools, communities, and hopefully into the future. We wanted the experience to be dynamic enough to where they would get to interact with other students from across the district and get to network and be mentored by RYLA alums and different leaders across really across the country. That's one of the benefits of having this virtual experience. We've had speakers from Washington, DC area, from the Boston area. We've had counselors from all over the country who've come in and supported and led different cabin groups. So we've had a truly diverse and inclusive experience for the students, bringing in the top talent from the RYLA alumni from truly all over the country. And then the last piece is making it entertaining. If you have not watched our pilot program, it's on YouTube. If you can actually see some of the modules, they're also on YouTube. You can see the level of production that we put into our programs. And that's a testament to Michelle McNeely and John Warder, 2 RYLA alums, who are essentially responsible for creating and managing our technology platform. So to give you a sense of what the students have learned, we've gone through a handful of modules and we've touched on a variety of different programs. We've discussed, the definition of leadership. We've discussed the attributes of effective communication. The students learned about their personality types and how they can work together in groups. Our most recent module was about conflict resolution, and our next module is about the importance of diversity and inclusion. All the while, our programs are based in a similar format where we teach the leadership lessons. We bring in a prominent keynote to have a inspirational or informational speech on one of those topics that I just mentioned. And then we do something similar to what we do at camp. We have cabin time where the students get together with the same group of students throughout the program. They talk about their experiences, they talk about what they've learned, they get to share and they get to hear from others and they get to network and build those relationships. Actually, one of the really interesting aspects of the virtual platform that Mish and John created is that there are also the opportunity for them to virtually network before our program, where they have essentially the equivalent of like a speed networking event where they click a button and talk to someone for 2 minutes, and then they can click another button and talk to someone else for 2 minutes. We've also been able to have the students engage in assignments between programs. We've set up a RYLA Slack where our students are separated into their cabin groups and they talk about their different experiences, and the counselors can engage with the students, give them reminders of what's going on in the program. But as we wrap, we've taken a few things from this program to heart. One is that the students in our program, the students that you've helped bring to this program, are truly exceptional. They are wonderful young people. They have the capacity and ability, and really based on this year, the resiliency to be to lead in our community in ways that we couldn't have imagined. Secondly, the program that you have built, RYLA over 30 years, is incredible. The network of young people who are now not quite as young are leaders in their communities and are making a difference. So that's a testament to you, Rotarians, for the investment that you've made in this program and the work that you've done.
Did we lose him? So, okay, well, I'll come back. Yeah, Sly was coming to us from Austin and soon to be moving to Washington, D.C. to take a new job, actually. So, he was about to finish up, as we were saying, in just a couple of weeks, we finish up with our module 5. And Sly, if you come back, just jump back in. And then we're going to be doing our wrap up. And then one other thing that he had not gotten to yet that certainly I know when we had to cancel Camp 2020, we asked clubs if you'd be willing to help with with our foundation as far as helping some funds that could go toward really us putting together the any of the programs with the foundation. But more importantly, we didn't ask clubs to really have to fund this RYLA program. But one of the things that we've been able to do is we actually are going to offer 5 $1,000 scholarships to this group of students who have finished through all 6 of the programs. Right now, we still have about 70 some students that are in the program, and they are now in the midst of actually starting to fill out their scholarship application. So something we don't normally do at camp is offer scholarships to the students. We have scholarships for some of our college age and alumni students. But anyway, one of the other things that we're, excited about the fact that we can do these scholarships for this group of students. So that's going to be one of the other things that we're going to be able to offer up for them. So we have that, and then what is happening is obviously we're trying to overlap both programs in Kickoff 2021. So again, I have to say, shout out to Mish, which he said, John Warner, who've done really a great behind the scenes job with helping us, and then certainly Sly and all the staff. Much of the program, we were meeting 2 or 3 nights a week with staff meetings after everyone else got off their jobs or college or whatever they were doing. And we've now been able to scale that back, but it's been a lot of effort to put that together, which now, as we start talking about what we can do with 2021, has given us a platform, regardless of where things end up going as we start planning toward camp. And I'm going to switch into talking about our camp program now. So let me talk about Camp 2021. And I will tie back in how RYLA is going to help us with that. But certainly here's our projected camp dates, August the 2nd through the 7th. In just a moment, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Duffy, who's going to really talk about the nuts and bolts, and we're going to work from the guidebook a little bit more. But we do have, if you're brand new to this program, I want to just take 1 or 2 minutes, not to get us too far behind schedule here, to just talk about what are you talking about when you talk about Camp RYLA to these students. Certainly, it's a program for juniors in high school, and we're recruiting. You would be recruiting students from that junior class from various aspects of the school, whether it be your interact clubs or other clubs or such that sports groups and things that Jim's going to really share with you about recruiting those students. But beyond that, it is a 6-day program. This date, August the 2nd, is actually a Monday. So for right now, we would be bringing the students in on Monday and finishing up on Saturday. We use a facility down close to Midlothian called Camp Hoblicell. We've been very fortunate to be there for a number of years. It's a great facility, and we call it a country club of camps because for most of you that have been down there, you know that it's a really nice facility that we're able to utilize. Kind of the layout of that facility is we actually, during the camp program with 180 to 90 students, we divide the students into 16 cabin groups. 8 of those would be males, 8 females. Then throughout the week, 2 of those cabin groups, male, female, kind of become a cabin family. And that's who really works together throughout the week. Beyond that, we've got a couple great lecture facility halls. We've got a great dining hall, lots of other meeting space. So So really a nice facility, very close for us to be able to get the students, to that. Real quickly, just when we talk about camp itself, we always talk about a couple, certainly our motto has always been step out of your comfort zone and really challenge the students with that concept of, what camp is about and what this program is about, really asking you to do some things, learn some things, really take some risk sometimes that really talks about stepping out of your comfort zone. Certainly also, certainly encourage them with reach for the future. And that's been kind of the initial motto that we accomplished or established for the program in the very beginning. In addition to that, those 6 days we deal with everything from, and Sly really did a great job of kind of talking about, because we really try to incorporate a lot of that into the RYLA program, but certainly talking about personal development, asking them, everything from why do you want to be here to what might you want to accomplish to, what are those important things to you? So personal development, personal responsibility, where we really do talk about the importance of them as a leader, what is important in being a mentor, making a difference, talking about the importance of, diversities and differences and inclusion, all of those sorts of things that really would be about kind of your personal development, but also being that setting that example from within, and sometimes leading from within, which leads us to kind of another big proponent of the program would be certainly our third day was on leadership. And it's like the definitions of leadership. And we certainly talk a lot about our concept of servant leadership and really being able to kind of lead from within without authority sometimes. And that's been a strong focus of our RYLA program too. What are those different styles? How do you utilize your resources? Then we try to really tie that back into the importance of community. What is your community? How are you going to go back into that community as a senior in high school and make a difference? And certainly the same challenge we've challenged those students with during the RYLA program is, are you making a difference? Are you contributing to everything from your school to your family group to an organization to your work to whatever that might be, and truly setting up those leadership traits that we're trying to help you learn. We talk about your toolbox and taking those leadership tools and making a difference. Certainly, community really ties back in the importance of the Rotary Club and how important it is for them to both be contributing and being members, either through their Interact or Rotaract and such as that, but really contributing back to you as the Rotary Club also. And then certainly we talk a lot about in the program, and you hear us talk about that students run the program. We really share that concept as we do our orientations with the students, and they're in everything, as I mentioned, from groups of their cabin groups to their combined cabin groups of male and female, discussion groups, and then certainly the strongest point of camp is our committees, where they're actually running all aspects of the camp, everything from speakers to activities to publishing a newspaper. Last year, or in 2019, we actually started some online programs, and we post a lot of social media during the week. So they're really responsible for it's our community, and they're responsible for running that. So that's Camp 2021. Like I said, the one the question that's come up, and a couple of you already put that in the chat here, I see, is, what's and we're going to share with you kind of what we think our plan is as we move forward to try to certainly accomplish camp. But we want you to know that if we can't do something in person, then we have the opportunity, and will have the opportunity and have the base now to be able to do something virtually. So why it's so important for us to, start getting busy, so to speak, to get out and recruit the students, find our good candidates, just as we've done for the last 29 years. So with that, let's go to slide 7. And I want to quickly turn it over, and I know he always feels like I've taken too much of the time. Jim and I have worked together since the beginning of the program, and Jim Duffy is in charge of operations. He's who you usually hear communicate with all of our chairpersons a lot. on a number of different aspects of camp. But Jim has been with the program since the beginning also, and is just very instrumental in all, if not communicating with you so much of the behind the scenes aspects of putting the program together. So Jim is a member of the Addison Midday Club, and him and I have been friends even before we started this program, when both of us did not have gray hair, and we were all a little bit younger. So so anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Duffy, and he's going to lead us through what I call the nuts and bolts of the program, and then I'll come back as we kind of have a couple other segments. So Jim.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had an opportunity to take a look at this application guide with the link we sent out to you, perhaps even printed it out. This is the Bible for those of you who are club chairpersons. This is the tool you can find a lot of really good information in, including deadlines and addresses and so forth. Lots of reference. So we'll skim over it today. You will be getting a bound copy of this along with other materials. Normally, we would be handing this out in person at this meeting, but obviously we cannot do that. I think the person who figures out how to do handouts in the Zoom program would make a lot of money. We will be putting all this package together. They will be delivered to you or mailed to you very soon here in the near future. You'll get a copy of this application guide. You also receive materials on the right there. You're looking at the trifold brochure that is very helpful in handing to the students for them to get some information and express an interest. If you look at that center panel on the trifold down at the bottom where it says questions, we've set that aside for the clubs this year. If you want to put a label on there identifying yourself and your contact information, identifying your club, or providing whatever else information you'd like to do, you can put it right there before you pass these out. You'll also be receiving on the left there a brochure, multiple copies of that. You get about 40 copies of the trifold, I think about 8 copies of the brochure, plus some posters that you can put up for the kids to see at school, so forth. So you get a number of other items. The one big item that you'll receive is a thumb drive that contains those of you who were here early and saw the video, that video plus some other videos, very short ones that are good for use in schools that have electronic bulletin boards. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So you're going to be getting all of this information directly from us. We're packaging those up next week, and they've all been printed. But if you need something beforehand, as Dana mentioned earlier, all of these materials are currently available on our website. You can download whatever you need. One of the things that's in that package you're going to get is a clean copy of our application. This document, I want to ask you to consider doing one thing before you hand it out. There's a box up there at the top that talks about who the Rotary Club is, who the person is who's the chairperson, responsible person for the program. Please fill that in before you make copies, before you send it to the club, to the school or whoever you're dealing with. It's an amazing event. Every year we get applications in and we have no idea which club is being represented because that box is incomplete. So again, I would really encourage you to, when you start collecting applications, before you send them to us, make sure that box is filled in. So who are we recruiting for this award? The person we're recruiting is the best of the best. RYLA people are the best of the best. We want kids who are at the top of their game at school. This is not a camp for at-risk students. It's a camp for students who are performing. They have existing leadership roles in school, in church, in the community, in their service, whatever it is. We want the best of the best. We want you to identify kids that will bring something to camp, because as Dana said, we put the students in charge of camp through committees, or who will gain something from going to camp. And sometimes they have both. But look at contacting kids who are really performing at school, in the community, wherever. You need to start now by contacting the people that you're going to be working with to identify who these students are. Don't wait. Don't wait till the last minute. Unfortunately, a few clubs last year waited, and the schools, as you recall, closed. They lost their window. And when RYLA came around, they had not submitted any campers. So they had no opportunity to put someone into RYLA. And if we have to go to RYLA this year, it's really critical that you have those applications into us. If you're working with another Rotary Club that's going to the same school, please coordinate your activities. Don't go individually. It makes it really complicated for the school when you're doing that. So if you've got 2 Rotary Clubs, 3 Rotary Clubs, whatever, who have focused on one school, please coordinate your activities. And don't forget about private schools, and we've even multiple times had homeschool students that were selected by Rotary Clubs. So look at all those. Other places you can go to identify which students might be very helpful. If you have campers in RYLA, reach out to them. They can give you an idea of who at their school might be a candidate for Camp RYLA. They can help you promote it in their school. They're really, really good candidates. Typically, we would say, reach out to kids who went to camp last year, but now RYLA is our camp last year. If you're involved in our Interact Club, excellent location to go to find students and to find references, get them to help you promote the thing in the program. A very common place is the head counselor in the school. If the school has a counselor option, that's a good place to go. The principal, the student council, sponsor, football coach, basketball coach, people who can identify kids for you would be beautiful. When you identify that contact at the school, and particularly if they're not familiar with it, you need to explain the program to them. Show them the video, which you're going to get on the thumb drive. Get them to put up the posters. If they have the electronic bulletin boards, ask them to put that very short video, and there's some language you can use on page 7, which we'll look at here in a minute. Be sure you try to get them to put that up. The idea is to promote the program and have the kids come to whoever your contact is, give them that trifold brochure to see if they have an interest, and then get an application in their hands. Be sure that if you're going to the internet to get the information on our new website, be sure you pick our website, RYLA5810.org. A few years ago, somebody went to the internet, just searched Camp RYLA. We got an application. Our application is 1 page. We got an application that must have been 15 pages deep, and it talked about bus permissions and things we don't even do. So if you go into the internet, make sure you go into the right place before you start picking up information. Once you've put the applications in the hands of your school contact, set a deadline for them to get the applications in. Give them a deadline and try to hold to it. Be sure you look at when spring break is in that school, so that you don't set a deadline that's in the middle of spring break, because you're not going to get any applications back. So either get your deadline before spring break or right after spring break, but make sure you know when spring break is when you set that deadline. After you contacted the contact at the school, check back in a couple of weeks, see how it's going, see if they're getting questions or if they need more applications or more brochures or whatever. Late February, early March, you should collect the applications. when you collect the applications, be sure each application has a photo. You see in the upper right-hand corner there, it says photo required, and it is required. When we start doing the makeup of each cabin, we want to be sure that we have the appropriate diversity, and the photo is the very best way that we can do that. Set up a selection committee in your club to interview the students. Please don't rely on the counselor just to pick the students and give you the applications. You have 2 students and they give you the 2 applications. A number of problems with that. One is the student is just handed an application, told, here, fill this out. I want you to go to this camp. They don't have a clue at that point, any connection with Rotary, any connection particular with your club. We've had experiences in the past where students would fill out this application with basically just name, rank, and serial number, none of the other extracurricular, academics, all the things that we're asking for there, wasn't there, didn't go to any orientation, and dropped out of camp at the last minute. You need to make a connection with the students, and we think that by interviewing them with a selection committee made up of, 3, 4, 5 people from your club, don't overwhelm them, but a few people from the club. Please interview everybody who applies. Don't rely on the application to tell you whether or not somebody is a viable candidate. Anybody who applies who is qualified, have to be a high school junior going into their senior year. Be sure you interview them. Make sure that, it may be a virtual interview this year. Certainly that's what a lot of them were last year. Our club did it that way last year. Nothing wrong with that. It may be in person this year if things are good or better. And if it is, I'm sure you need to continue to mask and socially distance and so forth. But just be sure that you interview them, all of them, before you make your choices. On page 9, there are some sample interview questions. You can look through that if you have any question about what you want to ask people. One thing that you want to be sure to ask them, every one of them, is, are you available August 2nd through August 7th without interruption? This is not a come and go camp. This is a start to finish camp. You can't take a middle of the week break and go somewhere and do something with your family or at school or whatever. You got to be available the full period, 6 days, without question. So make sure that's one of the questions you ask. This is page 10 in the booklet, and it talks about COVID-19 and what our concerns, and it's impossible for us at this point, just like everybody else, to know for sure where we're going to be in August, whether we're going to be in a situation that allows us to have an in-person camp the way we've always done it. That is our hope, that is our plan, and that is why we're asking you to proceed as if that's going to take place. But with the COVID issues, one of the things that we would like you to consider when you're dealing with students, because you're going to be talking to them before they have an opportunity probably to be vaccinated, is ask them if they plan to get the vaccination when it's available to them. We would like to have everybody at camp have been vaccinated, including your drivers who are bringing the kids to camp and bringing them home. We think it's the best possible outcome for us if we can make sure everybody is vaccinated. We don't have a final policy on that. We will come forward with that. We recognize there are people who are opposed to vaccines in general, or this one in particular. I myself have had 1 shot and it didn't hurt, and I didn't have any reaction to it. But I'll tell you that we think it would be best if everybody at camp was vaccinated, but we don't know if that's going to be an option for us. So just consider asking that question when you talk to them. When you make your final selection of campers, we would like you to be sure that you give us an equal number of male and female campers. This is really, really important to us. a camp works best if we had an exact even split of male to female. We know from experience that recruiting males to fill out the application is much more difficult than females. We don't know why. We may do a study on this someday, but right now we don't know why males are more hesitant to fill them out than females. But every year, if the clubs stay after it, if you continue to work it and you continue to identify candidates, we end up with some spectacular students, both male and female. It doesn't work if the cabins are out of balance, if things are not in good. So make sure, and I know that I will be hearing from some of you as the deadlines approach about how you can't get male campers. Can you please send 4 females? And the answer is no. It doesn't work that way. We've really got to have you do your very, very best to give us an equal number. And don't forget to send alternates to us. If you have 8 applicants for 2 spots and you picked your 2, but you got these other ones and you feel good about them, send them to us, mark their application as alternate. They will then be in line. If any of your campers has to drop out at the last minute, which is not uncommon for, family emergencies, broke a leg and doesn't want to go to camp with a broken leg, or we've had that and it works. People can get through it. But whatever reason, then your alternate is first in line to fill that spot. If you don't send us alternates, then we will go to the alternate pool of alternates from all the other clubs and pick one of those people to fill that spot. So it's important if you want, you're paying for this spot and you need to have your selection go into this spot, you need to send us alternates. The applications for the students that you've selected and the alternates are due on April the 1st. They need to be at our registrar by April the 1st. On page 2 of the application guide, there's a big box on the right past the cover. This document that you've got gives the address of where to send that stuff. Be sure that you notify all your applicants of your final decision. This is page 7 of the book. Up on top of that, it talks about recruiting tools. The very top box is the box that talks about how to perhaps use the short video on the electronic boards. But down below that, and also on the next page, page 8, we give you some sample verbiage to use when you're telling students they have been selected, when you're telling students they have been selected as an alternate, or when you're telling them that they have not been selected to go to camp. And those are sometimes difficult things to do, but it's really important that you let everybody who you interviewed know the results. I get a couple of calls from parents every year that their student was interviewed by such and such a club and they never heard anything. And that's really not fair to the students, and it's not a good for your club's reputation with that parent anyway. So be sure you notify every student of your final decisions. Now, after we get the application, our registrar will start communicating directly with the students, and we'll be sending them information, communications regarding camp, what to bring to camp, how to submit their medical forms, that kind of information. We'll pick the ball up at that point, and we'll be communicating with them. In May, we typically have our orientation meetings for parents. We do 7 of those meetings all around the district. We typically would, in this page, we would give you a schedule of those meetings, of which clubs and where the locations are. But because of current restrictions on the size of gatherings, the venues that we've been using are not booking anything, and we understand that. We're hopeful that that'll change as we approach May, and we'll be able to do in-person orientations, and everything will be back in line. If it's not, we'll come up with another way. We will do orientations. They may again be virtual. We'll have a format. Somehow we'll do it, and we'll give you the information as soon as we know how we're going to manage that. At this point, it's just not possible for us to say what we're going to do, other than we will do orientations. You need to be sure when the orientations come up, whatever format they are, that the parent and students involved participate, and that you participate as the club's chairperson. Of the campers who dropped out of camp before it started in 2019, most of them did not attend an orientation meeting. One of the things that happens in orientation when the parents are there and the students are there, and they start to learn a lot more about camp, and they hear from the kids that have been through the camp, the parents get committed to it. And so it's really hard for the kids to drop out, and that works. Our dropout rate, after we started doing these orientation meetings a number of years ago, dropout rate just dropped dramatically. In August, you are responsible for getting the campers to camp and getting the campers home from camp. August the 2nd is a Monday. That's when you bring them to camp. August the 7th is a Saturday. That's when you pick them up to take them home. The transportation form, which is in the book, page 14, is due by July the 1st. I want you to pay close attention to the verbiage down there. Our youth protection policy is such that we require 2 persons per vehicle when you bring campers to camp. For example, if you have 4 campers and you're bringing them in 2 vehicles, you can't have 1 person in 1 vehicle and 1 person the other and meet the 2-person category requirement. 2 persons per vehicle. And you need to line these folks up, because you need to find out, for example, as I mentioned earlier, we'd like to have them vaccinated if they're bringing kids to camp, if that's possible. There are also district policy now on background checks where they are encouraging any Rotarian dealing with children under 18, and these kids are all around 17, to have a background check. And it's a district policy. It's not we encourage it also, but it's not a requirement by us. After they've been to camp, and after you selected them, one of the options, if you're meeting in person, or even if you're meeting on Zoom, is to bring your campers and their parents to your Rotary Club meeting and introduce them to the club. The connection between your club and these campers is really critical to your success and their success as getting them into camp. So try to do that. But obviously, I think most of you that have done this before recognize, and those of you who haven't done it but have been in the club for a while, one of the best programs of the year is after camp, when you bring the students to your club to make a presentation about their experiences. And that we really, really encourage that. We'd also like to know about it. If you schedule your students, if you just reach out to me or Dana or to your club coordinator, let us know, because we want to hear how their experience is, how they talk about it, how they present it. It's part of the process when we start selecting students for our advisory committee, which would be making up our part of our staff in the subsequent year. RYLA Day 7 will be Saturday, November the 20th, 2021. This is not something that we require you to provide funds for. It's covered in the basic fee for camp. This is an opportunity where we bring all the students back together after they've been away from camp for a couple of months, and you're going to hear more about it here in a little while. But it's November the 20th. If the students need transportation to that, if they don't have a car available, can't get there, we encourage them to reach out to the club and see if the club might offer that. It's not often required. Most of the kids either have cars or have access to other people who have cars or other campers. So, but if somebody asks you to bring them to Day 7, we would appreciate it if you consider doing that. You need to be sure that your club has paid for your campers by March 31st so that all your work isn't wasted. If we do not receive payment by March 31st, we may assign your spots to another club that's asking for additional campers. Many of you last year left your money with us to prepay for Camp 2021. You'll be getting an invoice, but it'll give you a credit for that. So if you, for example, had 2 students and you left the money with us, you'll get an invoice that says 0 amount due, just so you know. If we have one club, a good example, if they paid for 3 campers last year but have 4 this year, they'll get an invoice that shows the prepaid 3 as a credit and then the amount for the 1 additional camper. You'll start getting those will start going out here in the next couple of weeks. Our foundation is available. If your club has a foundation, and a number of clubs do, has a foundation that it is required that you disperse money to 501c3s, our foundation is available for that. You can make the check out to RYLA 5810 Foundation, and we will put the money in the foundation, and then the foundation will then award the scholarship to the student that you've selected. Also, Rotary International now allows district grants to be used to send campers to Camp RYLA. A number of clubs did that last year. They got district grants to pay for half of their camp, basically. So you can consider that. I'm not sure what that situation is as we go forward. If you want to sponsor more students than you're currently allocated, you need to let me know. Available slots are on a first come, first served basis. I maintain the list. We started at October 1st. The maximum number of students any club can send is 6. We don't allow any single club to send over 6. The allocation process is identified on page 18 of this booklet. So if you want to look at that, that's fine. But basically, if you need more, one of the things that's going to happen possibly is, let's say your club has 2 campers and you get to interviewing students and you got a 3rd and maybe a 4th student that you just can't say no to. You want to sponsor more. That's when you need to reach out to me and see if we have spots available on our waiting list. And if you need spots now, you need to reach out because we're allocating those spots as as clubs reach out to us. On page 20 is the list of all the club coordinators and the clubs they work with. And as Dana mentioned before, these are the folks that we would like you, they support you throughout this process. They are there to support you while you're trying to find students, while you're trying to interview students, get them to camp, get them back, anything and everything related to camp, they're there to help you out. And that page, they would list everything that you need plus their contact information. So if you have issues or questions, please go to your coordinator first. And if they can't answer that for you, they'll get the answer for you. That is the way you use this book. That is the material so that that'll be coming to you. I encourage you to go to the website and look at all the stuff that we have there. But here in the next couple of weeks, we will have those packets either delivered to you or mailed to the address. And one of the things possibly when you were contacted by your club coordinators, that they ask you for a current mailing address. And that's why, because we knew we would not be able to hand these out. And that is the end of my presentation.
Someone asked about a cutoff decision for camp for 2021.
I wish I could answer that. I don't think we know that. We're, as I said earlier, our plan is to assume that we will be in a position in August to have camp as we've always had it. When we would make a decision contrary to that, I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be similar to what we did last year. We'll make that final decision as soon as we can. It's all of it, just like everything else is hanging fire these days in the world, relates to the pandemic and what the status is on the pandemic and immunization et cetera, et cetera. So I don't have a hard deadline. We haven't discussed a hard deadline as when we're going to do that. We will let everybody know as soon as we know, but our assumption at this point is we are going to have camp.
Yeah, and we did make that decision last year in May, and I would anticipate that we would maybe do something similar to that if we have to make that decision. Certainly, as we referenced in the book there, we are trying to evaluate and follow, state agencies, the CDC. Certainly, we've actually, a couple of our alumni actually work not just for colleges, but with college management programs that have a really good handle on what a college is looking at. Certainly, we have a lot of educators in our group trying to look at what school districts are thinking about related to everything from vaccines to requirements to trying to be a little more in person. So trying to keep all of that in mind, and certainly ask your patience and support as we try to, these are tough questions that we're trying to still work through. We know that the best thing we can do is try to provide an in-person, but that's why it's so important to recruit the students so that we can have those students available for whichever program we can put together. But our goal is to try to make this an in-person with whatever restrictions and such that we need to put into place. I think there was a couple other questions that, you go ahead, Beth.
Did you just address the vaccines at all? Like just the fact that we're not.
I think individuals did a good job of expressing that in the chat. If you didn't see that, certainly we're aware of what those age restrictions are at the moment. So just try. I think our thought is just to try to keep that in mind as you're not to have students picked that might be disappointed. Certainly, I know someone brought up a point about, is that, would I be asking a student that question with their parents not there? Again, that's just a thought process, I think, for you as a club, as you're moving through this and trying to help us. Certainly, that's why we call this a plan at the moment, certainly not a policy.
I think, again, the verbiage for the parents and the students and the is essentially we will be following whatever. I mean, we're very in tune to what the different high schools are doing and the colleges as well. And so I think that the protocol for fall will already be in place for those schools. So we should have a really good idea of what the schools are requiring at that point.
Yeah. So I think that's about, it may not be a solid, concrete answer for you yet today, but we know that over the next 90 days, things will materialize a lot more for us as we are in constant discussions and meetings about these things. So let me see if there was anything. One person did express a concern about, we show them the video, we get them enthused. Believe me, and then we have to do a virtual program. We've got some good information related to what virtual program we did this year. We make it even a lot of fun also. So I think that it takes a lot to make sure you get them engaged and interested. So I don't think that's a disappointment. We're gonna follow through on providing a program for them, whatever that you can recruit, as you can recruit them. Certainly then we give them, and that's gonna lead me right to going ahead and talking about some of our alumni. And I know I'm causing us to run over here a little bit today time-wise, but we want to get you out timely. But all of these students that are finishing RYLA are going to be a part of the RYLA alumni program. We are going to be inviting them to other alumni programs. I know a couple people asked about a day 7. Our intent was to do an April in-person event as we finished up RYLA, and we don't feel like that's quite appropriate yet, but we're still, thinking about, is there a way to include them in a summer segment or something yet? So we haven't given up on even bringing that group together for a short or even an overnight in-person program yet. So with that, as I said, remind you, if you're brand new to this program and you want to stay around when we finish, we will keep the individuals who are first, second year of being chairpersons involved. The other thing I want to do is Beth is already up on the screen here. I want to turn it over to her, Beth Anderson, kind of quickly tell her RYLA story, really just share with us a little bit of an update to you, both as Rotary members and as kind of the spokesperson back to your club of all the other things that we have been very excited, successful, and proud of being able to do with both our alumni support, and really all of this continuation of the students that start as a junior in high school and move forward through the program and way beyond. So with that, let me turn it over to Beth real quick to kind of close us out here, and then I'll say a couple things at the end. So Beth.
Perfect. Thanks, Dana. I was a camper in 1997 and have been back quite a bit since. I'm a Rotarian. I attribute almost everything that I have done, to RYLA and the leadership skills that I've learned at RYLA. I'm going to go fast because we're at the end of this, but really the stuff I have to cover could easily be 2 additional Rotary programs for your club. So if that interests you and you do have questions on these, then please reach out to us so that we can provide that for your clubs. But essentially what I'm going to cover is what happens after the campers go to camp. So, as alumni, we could not imagine this group not having the opportunity this year. We couldn't imagine a year without campers. But more importantly, again, I think that the modules, if you go on the website, you can go on our website and scroll down and you have access to be able to view the modules. And I think that they will just floor you. They're so good. In my opinion, the only thing that they miss is that personal connection. But that's just the time we're in. And so what's exciting is that we have that built for them. It's just going to have to be as their alumni as they come into the program. So essentially, this is RYLA Roundup 1 or the RYLA Kickoff. A couple years ago, we couldn't do it this year, but we did a RYLA Roundup 2.0, and our hope is to do it again this year if we can. And it's because all of this information after camp and what happens with the students is so much that we created that opportunity for Rotarians to kind of thank you and celebrate you for all you've done from today up until taking those campers home from camp, to kind of share the story of the year with them, with you, and to give you a lot more information on sort of what we have next. That's an over 21 event. We had beer and wine and food, and it was really fun. So be prepared for information on that if we're able to have that this year. So to talk about some of the other things that we've done recently is that we have a new online health and contact information. We started that 2 years ago. And that's been so important for today's day and age to make sure that we have everyone's information medically, their medications, their family contacts. And so it's the same program that most of the major camps use for their summer programs. We've always done extensive staff training for our counselors, including like CPR and mental health training, which might be more important now than ever for these students who have been in really unique situations kind of coming into camp. Another thing I always like to touch on is how much we have to put into our upgrades every year. So back in 1997, when I went to camp, we had 7 committees, and there was only one IT-related committee that was our newspaper committee. We had 7 humongous computers that we would lug up to a second floor building that ran on like a DOS system or something. It was very old. And now we have, maybe 12 committees for our campers, half of which 6 are IT-based. So all of those committees require computers and cameras and iPads and all these things. So we've really had to put a lot of work into upgrading that and technology, including our website, which Dana and Jim have really worked tremendously hard on, and it's really good. But I'm here to kind of talk about everything that we've created in like probably the last 5 to 7 years. So these are all of our logos, also created by alumni. So I'm going to go real briefly into each of them and why they're important. So RYLA Day 7, someone asked a question in the chat, what is Day 7? So historically, even back to when I was a camper, alumni would come back to help at camp, and they would help as assistant counselors. And that assistant counselor program has grown and is amazing. They now interview for an opportunity to be there. And historically, if you look at the individuals or the alumni that have stayed really engaged with the program, it was the ones that have been through being an assistant counselor. But as Rotarians, we pick 190 amazing campers, and we want to see what that looks like if we have the retention into our RYLA alumni program that would feed into Rotary of all of them. So historically, always after camp, they want to get back together with their cabins. And so we thought, well, why not provide an opportunity for a reunion for them? We also on our alumni part of our group is we have several alumni that have degrees, master degrees in curriculum formation. And so they do that for their schools that they work with right now. So they oversee our curriculum from camp to Day 7 to Winter Summit, making sure that they all are very in sync. And a lot of learning studies basically show that if you are given a ton of information at a very fast pace, going home, applying it, letting it soak in, and then coming back to reinstate it is very, very good from a learning standpoint. So it's great for them. It's great for them to reconnect, and it keeps them with our family or within our group. And one of the coolest part of it is at the very end of the day, we do a parent segment where the students actually put on a program for their parents, and their parents get to see, why they are so different, after going to camp and coming home afterwards. And so we get to share the message of RYLA and Rotary with, 190 campers' parents. We don't get that many parents that come, but we get a lot. So it's a fantastic program. The RYLA Cast is a podcast. So Greg Tepper and our very own Josie, Andrew Oots, is on the call today. They put that together, and it's 20-minute podcasts on leadership topics. And they'll interview an alumni or a Rotarian and kind of be able to kind of go into what makes leadership special to them. So that's a fun one to log on to and to try to find and listen to yourself. Our next one is our Winter Summit program. So again, we formed this program out of necessity. This year would have been the third year for us to do it. We did decide, of course, to cancel the January 2021 event. We're not sure if we're going to be able to have something later in the year, but every year we have these students that just desperately want to stay connected to camp and want to come back to camp. And we just have limited room at camp to engage them. So how we look at Winter Summit is camp is like their associate's degree in leadership. We cover kind of the key basic leadership skills and tools, things that, most of us wish we have had our whole lives to work with. And then Winter Summit is our opportunity to dive into some kind of secondary leadership skills and topics and characteristics. And we throw in just a ton of fun, like there's s'mores, there's a hot chocolate bar, vision boarding they loved last year, game night. It was just a real retreat type feel. So think of camp in a winter wonderland. Really fun. And this is we're developing, we actually did at Winter Summit. So when we have the college students apply, and that's open to all college students 5 years out of camp, but when they register, they are able to put their degree, their college degree, as well as their vocation that they're interested in. And so with that information, we're able to sort it into categories and put them into tables or groups based on profession, medical, legal, education, business. And then we try to ensure that we have a young, older alumni that maybe recently graduated recently out, an older alumni, and perhaps a Rotarian. They're at their table to be able to talk about their profession. And you know, we didn't know how long this would take, and we could have given more time to it. They were very interested. And about halfway through, they answer questions and everything, we give the students an opportunity to change tables. So maybe they're interested in business, but they're kind of interested in law. So then they can hop on over to the law table and be able to learn about that. So that's been a really cool opportunity for us as well. And how we do all this is through the foundation. So that's been something that's been in place for many, many years, but we're really working on growing that out of necessity because, like I've mentioned in the past, like things just continue to grow. So like Winter Summit, I think we charged the college students when we were able to do it, maybe $25. I think that's pretty much all you can charge a college student to come, but their share would be closer to like $130 to cover their meals and everything like that, and that, their room and board. So the website, the contact information database that we have, all of these things are things that, we've always been a great summer camp, but we are a 365-day-a-year foundation now, where we operate programs throughout the year. And we have such a great opportunity to grow as well. And so we're working on growing this foundation. Essentially, Mike Callanan, I saw you on the call, and it was actually at RYLA Roundup 2.0 that we did 2 years ago. After that, we kind of talked about the foundation, and Mike came up to me and said, I'd love to help. I have a space that I can help you with. And we started meeting until COVID happened. And so the best candidates to help with this foundation are, really Rotarians, because you understand and know the passion for youth leadership and the power that we have with this program to grow it. And then, a passion for youth leadership as well. So if you're interested in being part of the foundation, I'm the one that you would contact, and just let me know.
No, I was just going to give a shout out to, certainly Beth has been involved really in kind of highlighting and shepherding all of our alumni for this, for a number of years with a lot of other help. And like I said, we, currently our Zoom account, we burn that up every week as far as I look on there, and there'll be 5 or 6 other RYLA related meetings per week on there. There's certainly not related to camp, but we actually have an inclusion diversity committee that's meeting. We have a strategic planning group that's meeting every few weeks and trying to look at what, as we talk about, we're celebrating 30 years, what does the next 30 years look like? So, and that's just to touch on so much of behind the scenes that's happening. And certainly when I talk about alumni now, I'm also talking about Rotarians, because a number of our alumni are Rotarians in their own Rotary clubs and have either already been even club presidents or certainly taking on strong leadership positions and such. So as we do close out, I'm kind of looking at the chat here again. Anyone have any last minute questions they want to ask us today? Make sure you go ahead and put those, just type those in there real quick, or certainly stay around here in just a moment. But I want to again just say, I know we ran over. I was going to try to get us out of here by 1:15 today. I mean, I'm sorry, 11:15. I never do that. You don't ever want to give me the microphone because I'll take too long. But I'm always passionate and excited about what we're doing and what we've seen that we've been able to accomplish, both with the support of the Rotary clubs, with our alumni, with the students that get involved. And as Sly said early on in the program, it's just always so enlightening to spend time with these high school students that you're selecting, and knowing that really is, and I'm sure you feel the same way, that really is our leadership for the future. And what we're doing is not trying to totally change the course of their leadership, but just really try to encourage them to utilize whatever those leadership capacities and talents are as they move forward and really truly make that difference. Again, as I said, I have to say thank you for our Rotary clubs and thank you for that support. Certainly, we also always appreciate any support that we can have into the foundation, because we really are, using that money wisely to do just a continued good job with this program. I know Beth talked about IT, and I'm not going to go through all that, but I was listing out in some notes here before we started this program. We actually have 8 IT platforms that we're engaged with now, that we're working with month to month. I mean, if you think about Zoom and Constant Contact, and we use Hopin as a program that we use for our new RYLA program, and Slack and a polling program, and all sorts of things that cost money every month. So anyway, we're really trying to keep the program in tune with where these students are today and our alumni also. So with that, if all of you can just work with us as we move forward, which is still, we're not out of the woods yet, we're not out of the challenging times, and we're going to need everyone's help. It's not us doing this, and it's not us trying to make rules and policies and procedures that we don't want all of you to be a part of also, and trying to also continue to think about the best interest both for our students and for our Rotary clubs, and not losing any momentum in this program that we have. So with that, we'll have a lot more information coming out. I know there was one other chat. Oh, that reminds me. One other chat. Someone said, was there a way to try to create a little more of a virtual? Don't forget to think about your students that might be virtually learning. That might be a conversation both with the school, but also we will try to work on maybe some materials that would make it a little bit easier for you to try to reach some of those students also. I don't have a definite plan for that, but like I said, any suggestions, we're always trying to make sure we can implement something. So that was a suggestion that came up today, and we will see what we can do about trying to make some more materials. And as Jim said, we will be putting all those materials, packaging those up next week, and either those are going to get dropped off to you through your coordinators, or we're going to mail them if there's not a one-on-one handoff to you of those materials. So you should, hopefully our goal would be in the next 2 weeks to have those materials in your hands. But certainly always take students and their parents and your school contacts back to the website, and we'll continue to be doing updates to that as we go forward. So I do have one last thing I want to share with you, just a little 90-second clip here that I think is kind of a message that we used as promotion for our RYLA program, but I think is just a good cross-section of the students that we are working with. So I asked Andrew to play that, and then like I said, I'll stay on, and if we've got anyone else that wants to visit with us for a few minutes, we'll be here.
To me, RYLA means a place to love each other and to work hard, to work together for the common good.
To me, RYLA means family.
It's family.
It's family. Family.
It's family.
It's family.
Family.
RYLA means empowerment,
fellowship,
acceptance,
encouragement.
To me, RYLA means a place to belong.
Hope.
Guidance.
pure joy and authenticity,
Growth.
Growth.
Influence.
RYLA means acceptance.
Support.
home.
Community. Purpose.
To me, RYLA means opportunity.
What will RYLA mean to you? We'll see you at RYLA.